Okay, so I'm Charissa Lynn, the Money Magic Witch, psychic leader, and I am here to revolutionize intuition. And I want women to live the most impactful life full of freedom and wealth.
I love it. Just when you speak, it's so lovely. So lovely.
A little bit of drama in me, you know?
It's just, there is this like regalness, I feel like even in your
Ooh.
posts and when you talk, yes, you're very regal in
Oh
how
my
you
God.
express yourself. Yeah.
Regal. Someone just said that word recently, and I was like, regal. It was during one of my Sacred Money Archetypes sessions, and I was like, ooh, and now you just used it. So yeah. Okay.
Yeah, there is. And
sign.
you're very, I sent you on IG, but you have like the dreamiest eyes.
Oh, was that you?
That was me.
That was you that said it. I know someone said it recently. Oh, well, thank you. And you obviously have the most beautiful, is it green or blue? I always love green, blue.
They're green.
Yeah. And you're the rarity of the world, right? With the green eyes.
Yeah.
We'll just sit here the whole time and like compliment each other.
If more women did that, I mean, really.
Yeah, that's what we should do, right? Yeah.
Absolutely. Like, and I teach my daughters, and I make it a point, like, I'm like, compliment women. If you see anyone anywhere, tell her.
Yes.
Like that will make her day. And if we elevate women just in the different ways, like it can change the world.
And they won't forget it, right? They won't forget. Like, I always remember those moments when someone stops me and says some sort of compliment. I stopped someone on the beach last summer. I'm like, she just looks so hot. She's in her, what was she wearing? Like a leopard print bikini. And she had like, I think she had like this black kind of hat on, and she's just rocking it. And she's walking by our towel, and I'm with my kids and my husband. I'm like, excuse me. I'm like, I just need you to know that like you look so amazing and you're rocking it. And she was so happy.
Yes.
And I'm like, I just need to tell her I'm not threatened. My husband's sitting right there. Right. And I'm like, I just need to tell her. She's glowing. And I couldn't help but just watch her in the water. It's like, I'm that person on the beach. But yeah. It's just like, and she'll probably never forget, right? So
yeah, I love that. If we do that more, because who even knows like how her day was, right? Or like what that did for her on an energetic level. Like it was just such a boost when someone outside of us recognizes, you know, our beauty or our radiance.
Yeah. Yeah. I totally agree.
Okay. So I did a little, I do this with a lot of people, and tell me if you do this too. I love to go back in people's like profile and I love to watch the evolution of a woman. I think it's like, so, cause we'll find people at certain parts on their journey and we won't have got to see the backstory, right? What got them there. But one of the things I love about social media, especially Instagram, is like, you can go back and you can see them like evolve on the journey. And I thought I did that to you. And I thought it was, just to watch that. Yeah. Your journey unfold. Yeah, it's really neat. And I don't know if you ever look back at your own journey, you know, because sometimes we forget, we get lost, like how far we've come, you know, especially when we find success and freedom, and to just take a moment and really see like how far we've come. So I just wanted to take a minute and just celebrate your journey and your evolution.
Oh my gosh. I love that you're talking about this. I'm actually going to write this down because I feel like maybe a post or a program or a training.
Something, yeah.
Because this is something I actually talked about yesterday. I had a guest come onto my podcast, and we were talking about that exact topic, about the evolution of your brand and who you are and how social media captures the story. And there's a lot of women out there who are resistant to moving or making a choice, almost like they're paralyzed because they're not 100% certain. And it's like, but we're not going to stay that. So it's like maybe afraid to announce that they're now the Money Magic Witch, right? Like, it's like, I used to do aura readings. That was my thing. I was like, I'm the aura queen. And this was like over a year ago. And I've, you know, alchemized into something else. I still do aura readings. They're there on my website, but I mean, we can't be afraid and stay stuck just in case we change our minds. And a lot of women are like, oh, what if I change my branding? Or what if I change my name? And
it's guaranteed. Like, you will.
You're going to. Yeah. I'm like, I change my name and do all the time. But I feel like this is definitely, I like to call it actually shape shifting. So I'm like, I need to talk about shape shifting because you can look at the leaders who are going somewhere, who are evolving and not staying stuck or not going backwards. Literally, it looks like, and I had this conversation with someone else a couple of weeks ago, and it was more of that like mystical, out of this world type conversation. And I was like, people literally shapeshift. Like as you evolve, if you go back, I feel like I look different. You know what I mean? Like, and then even the way people speak. And I'm one of my coaches right now, she dropped a training in one of her programs, and it's an older training. So I put it on and I was like, who is this? It didn't even sound like her. I was like, that's not her voice. That's not the way she speaks. Even our voices change. So what I believe is like, as we evolve, and this comes down to like genetic coding, right? And frequency is we literally transmute. We transmute our genes, which then expresses out into our physical appearance, right? Our confidence, the way we hold ourselves, our attitude, obviously, our thoughts, our beliefs, our physical appearance. So anyways, this shape-shifting thing, I think I need to talk about this. I need to talk
I'm going to put it in our title. I'm taking notes because I'm a hypnotherapist. So essentially what I do is help women change their identity because it all starts within,
I'm getting
right?
the chills.
So I have them like how they see, feel, relate, and believe about themselves differently, like in their subconscious, and then they create it in their outer world. So it's like, I'm part of that journey of women, like transforming. Really, we really change identities, you know, and all of your work we really are helping women change their identities so they can be, do, and have an experience differently. And that's the root, right? That's where it all begins.
Yeah. And, you know, as someone in the audience of a leader, I want to see that evolution. Like, I want to see that you've, you know, shifted your beliefs, your thoughts, and expanded yourself through the photos, the imagery of the social media, right? Like if there isn't the change, then it's like, well, you're not growing. There's no evolution here. So I actually want to see that growth too. So
100%. I think it makes people relatable too. Like if I can look back, if I can find someone who's like found right success as we define it, and you get to see how she got there, it makes it like, I can do that too. I can take these steps too. So it actually like, it makes people, you know, sometimes we like to put people on pedestals or make them untouchable. And it was like, no, if you see they are exactly like you, and if you can unfold their journey and take similar steps in that direction, like you can have or experience, you know, whatever it is that you're desiring or what she's, you know, what she mirrors to you, what you want for yourself. So I think it's like a really integral part that we have to share the journey, the evolution, because that's how other women will come and believe that they're capable of the same magic.
Yeah. And that's why we keep those photos up. It's embarrassing as some of them are.
Right?
We keep them up. And that even goes for my product business. I mean, if you scroll back to the very beginning, I was so proud of the photos I took. I had bath bombs on my kitchen table on this like white tray, ceramic tray. And I was like, yes, this looks so good. And I took the picture and I posted it. I think I did it in like pic collage with this like really ugly script. And it's like beautiful bath bombs. And it's like, oh my gosh, night and day. Put that up and put it beside now where we are, right? With the new crushed aftercare branding and making for businesses globally. It's like, I started off with bath bombs, dodgy pictures in my kitchen. And so women who are doing the same thing are like, oh my gosh, like, look at where I could go, right?
Thank you. Thank you. Absolutely. That's an integral part of the journey. I'll look back at some of my like old videos or something, and it was like the sound, the picture, how I looked, right? But it was like, I thought it was so beautiful at the time. And it's just because we evolve. And I just thank you for like sharing your sentiment on that. Cause I think it's so, so important. So when I don't want to post or I don't want to share, I tap in and I remember like I need to. I need to, because you don't know if this post, maybe it's not meaningful right now, but it might be in a year from now. Somebody's going to read this particular post and it's actually going to like light up some inspiration for them to move forward. Like you just don't know, so you have to share.
Yeah, this happens all the time where I'll share something and then someone comes into my DMs and they're like, you have no idea how much I needed to hear that today. And it's just like, it's always this like time when you need to hear it too. Like, I don't know if you find that where it's like, I needed to hear that today. It just happens to be the day where I'm wobbling. It happens to be the day where I'm like, what is going on? Why am I doing this? Like, the days where you're struggling and then someone comes in. So I like to call those earth angel messengers, the ones who come in and remind you of your path.
I saw that and I was like, that's brilliant. That's because we're all just walking around in human suits. So I like that you put this label to it that like gives it, we are earth angels to each other.
Yeah.
And I read that in your post and I thought that was extraordinary. So I was interested, first off, I again want to celebrate you. I'm super impressed that you're in so many different facets, right? Like you have a product here business, like an actual physical product. And I'm kind of interested in how that was born. And then you have your psychic business, right? And then you're a money teacher. And it was like, I think it's so beautiful. You're a beautiful example of a woman. Oh, and a mom, right? With 3 kids and a husband, right? Because that's a full-time
2 dogs.
job.
Don't forget the 2 dogs, Layla and Charlie. Come on.
That alone, you run a household, right? And then you run a physical business and then you have like your spiritual business. And it was like, it's just such a wonderful example of women like you that like, you can do whatever you want, So I'm just super impressed by your being able to like be in all these different facets. Yeah. And then I was interested on, has money always been, I know that's a big focus in your business right now. Has it always been, I'm really interested in your journey. I am obsessed with money just because it was my most traumatic relationship in childhood. And I set out to heal it. And when you set out, it's just a lack of information, right? Or knowledge, like when we have that. So it's like, I went to money school, right? Books and teachers and programs. And I saw you post a thing about Victoria Washington. So I was in her house of she's a phenomenal money teacher. Gosh. So it's like, I just got myself resourced and I'm interested in your particular money story and how you got to be, I mean, now you're the sacred money witch.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, the same as you, like, and I think a lot of people listening can probably resonate with this. I mean, we grew up in a household where we started off, I mean, my mom left my dad when she was pregnant with me. So she's a single mom with 2 kids. And, we started off in kind of lower housing income. She met my stepdad and we lived in the lowest income, kind of complex here in London, Ontario. And, they had to work really hard for us to make ends meet. And we ended up, moving from there. We moved quite a bit. And the story is you have to work really, really hard. And my stepdad, he puts in flooring. So he's a tilist. And it would be like, if Christmas was coming, I have to work all through the night and endless hours and, not seeing him much just to have the money to splurge a little, to have a great Christmas. So that was what I would see for money. And that was kind of the story. And then my mom and my stepdad separated when I was 18. And that was like a big story as well for myself, but it was almost like an empowering one because I saw my mom separate, leave our home. And then I moved with her into an apartment and she struggled for money. So I made a decision in that moment that I would never be in the situation she is. So I chose to go to school, do university, get my teaching degree, go and get my master's in education because I would never be in that position, right? Yeah. So I was that go-getter, and my friends knew me that way. Moving out when I was 19, I always was a server, a waitress, made a lot of money doing that, worked while I went to university, and always paid my way through everything. So that's probably where I get this ambition to do all the things. I'm also a manifesting generator. So, I mean, I can...
Me too.
Oh, are you?
Yeah.
MGs unite. There's this.
Are you super attracted to them?
Oh yeah, of course I am. Their energy is like, ooh, come on.
Everyone I talk to, they're like, yeah, I'm a Manny Gen too. And I'm like, huh. But I think it's, yeah.
And I can tell, I actually attract a lot of projectors. Like a lot of my clients are projectors. And it may be because they see all of the things that are happening and there's something inside of them that desires that too. So yeah. So anyways, that's kind of the money story where it was like, you have to work really hard, and just like, have your ends met kind of thing. And so I've always been really intrigued. The things that I love to learn about is like money and magic, both of those things. And just recently it kept coming through to me, money and magic, money and magic. And I've always been known, right? Intuition Revolution was and I still have that as my website name. Focusing on the psychic and the intuition, but I'm always reading about money and I'm always listening to it. I'm always, watching the YouTube videos and all of that, my books and everything. And I'm like, why don't I just like claim this? And there's always this part of you that's like, well, who am I to do this? Right. So that was coming through. And since October, I had wanted to take the Sacred Money Coaching Certificate. And I kind of put it on the back shelf, the back burner. And then just recently, I'm like, no, it keeps coming through. It's like your intuition speaking and keep money and magic, money and magic. And so it's like, I'm doing this course. And then I'm like, I'm owning the archetypes. And I started talking about them and it just came through. I was just like, money magic witch, like, let's just claim it now. And I did a live actually today on my Instagram. And it was like, will your way into your existence, like speak your dreams and desires into existence. So like claim it now. Right. Versus, if you're going to write a book, it's like people wait until they're done writing the book, then it's published. And then they're like, yeah, I'm an author. It's like, you're an author already, like claim it, speak it into existence, be it now. So I don't ever wait. I'm like, I'm claiming it. I'm the money magic witch. And I show up with confidence. Right. So, and I mean, like you, how much knowledge do we have about it already? You've been studying this for years. And it's just like, like here I am on the mountaintops. So, I mean, I think that's the journey, and, there's more to it, but that's in the nutshell.
And now I feel like, I sense that you're like expanding into like new levels of wealth. Do you find that to be like,
oh my
true?
Gosh. Yeah. Well, I mean,
let's talk about that.
Even since last year, I mean, my bookkeeper just told me that we increased by 135%. Our business, right? So that's in itself, the company and my coaching business is expanding, but I'm also making expansive moves, right? So keep going back to what would the like multi-million dollar company owner Charissa do? What moves would she make? So there's a lot of money flowing in, but there's a lot going out, right? The circulation of the currency is happening.
Right.
So a lot of investing in machines here in the production space, in, product coming from overseas. And, my coaches this year, I've invested in the highest level coaches in this industry, and there's going to be bigger moves to make. But yeah, that's a part of that. The building of the wealth, right, is also the letting go of the money too, and trusting that it's going to come back. Right.
So what do you think is like the tools that you utilize when you're up against that edge of like, we can feel it, especially how in tuned you are, right? Intuitive, like, like I always know, like, okay, I'm up against an edge here and this is going to break through and I'm going next level. Like, what are your like tried and true resources? I saw you share like a lot of tips and a lot of like different things, but at the level in which you are now, are you still using like those same tips, or like, is it kind of a different tools that you access for your like next level expansion into wealth?
Can you remind me, is it a post? Can you remind me? I just want to know, because what's coming through on like what I'm like a big move I'm about to do. I can share the like kind of raw and vulnerable, the behind the scenes, but I don't know if you were talking about a different post. Do you remember?
I think it was recent. I think it was like this week. It was just about, I'm trying to remember if it was like talk to your money or like look at your money, or it was like three tips of, to like help you manifest money quicker or something like that.
Yeah. Okay. So I was kind of thinking about something different, which I'll share, but I did do a post recently that was about like having that money jar, having your purse, like don't ever put your purse on the ground.
Yeah. And that was it.
Energetic. Yeah. Making sure your wallet and your purse is like beautiful and top notch, because we want to treat our money the way we want it to treat us. So we would never just, throw ourselves on a dirty floor, or we treat our money too like they're our lovers, right? Like they're our partners. How would we treat our partner? How do we want to be treated? And then that's where we're going to get back from the money. So yeah, there's that. But when it comes to like having that edge and you're like, oh, and it's so uncomfortable and it's so scary, but I always say it's like the cauldron's bubbling. I just did a post, I think last week, and I was like, I can feel the cauldron bubbling. It's like, you feel it, right? And it's about to be like, shh. And it's not easy to get there, right? Like you need, like you said, those tools, right? It's like when you're, I'm going to say like the witchy terms, right? When you're like making you're brewing your potion, you need the ingredients. You can't just be like, here's a potion. So for me right now, like knowing that I'm like having this expansive, gonna have to make an expansive move in order for the expansion to happen. It's like, I like to tune into, and it seems so basic, but I will not Google, but I'll go to YouTube and I will put in like motivational videos. Because otherwise we let our logical mind take over, the fear mindset, and I will put that in, and then I'll listen to it and I'll be like, yeah, that's right. Take the risks, do what nobody else will do, be the 3%, that kind of thing. So that really helps me when I have these like massive choices to make. And I like to talk it through as well with some people who are in the business world.
Yeah.
I'll talk to my husband about it, but it's a different conversation than with other women who are in this industry.
For sure. So do you find that like the money tips that you were talking about, like the wallet and the lover, talking to, like, I very much experience like, and I'll write love letters. Like I'll just sit and journal about like just a love letter to money and my bank account and all that. And the other thing I do, you mentioned about the motivational videos, like I'll record my own hypnosises and then I use my own hypnosises to like, basically the way you use the YouTube videos, I do that. So every night I go to sleep, depending on what I'm wanting to program, I'll create it like voice memo on my phone. And then every night I'm going to sleep. And then every morning I'm waking up to that because we're in a hypnotic state at those 2 times. So I use those powerful, potent times to like download whatever I'm creating in my business and my life. So very similar to you. But I'm really wondering, like a lot of money teachers teach like the same basic principles and they're like, it's just rinse and repeat. They're like, I'm not doing anything new now at millionaire status that I was, back then. So I'm always interested in just a woman's journey with money. I'm fascinated by it.
Yeah, like I feel like I'm trying to put myself in their shoes, and I would be, but at a different level. But definitely where I'm at now, there's bigger moves, and almost I'm going to put in like quotations, like bolder money moves. But at the same time, I have a lot higher of an income. So even though it's scary, I'll give you an example. I just invested, it was $888 for a masterclass. Okay, a masterclass that's going to be, I think, like 2 hours. Where I was at last year, even, that's something that I would have been like, oh my goodness, investing $888 in a 3-week program would have been like, I don't know about this, right? And I'd have to look for a sign, and which it would happen, right? I remember this has actually happened to me. And that night, someone placed an order and it was the exact same amount for the program. It was like a spiritual entrepreneur, like beautiful program. But like with each level, it's like, doing the same thing still. We are making bigger, bolder moves, but at the same time, it's almost in comparison because yes, it was $888 for an hour, but I also have a lot more money coming my way. Right.
Yeah.
So, but I feel like, how they say it gets to be easy, but then there's like, it gets to be easy, but there's also challenges. I feel like I get it now. Like I'm experiencing that because like you almost get into this vortex, right? Where in your business, where it's like all of a sudden it's just like, I think the accumulation of like all your moves and you showing up and the money mindset and the rituals, like you're talking about, it's like this compound effect. So yes, it gets to be easy, but at the same time, you're just talking about like leaning into those edges. That's uncomfortable because it's like, if I want to go to where I want to go, it's a different Charissa. right? Like
Yes.
something needs to shift. So the leaders who are saying, well, I do the same thing, it's like, well, maybe they do. Maybe they wake up and they listen to the affirmations, the hypnosis, and they write in their journals. Like, I mean, if we're going to talk about rituals, this is what I do, right? I wake up and I right away sink into gratitude. Don't even pick up my phone, keep the eyes closed, get into that frequency. And then I listen to the affirmations. I go on Spotify or YouTube, put in the money mindset type, hypnosis type ones, right? Like the money magnets, while I'm making the beds, while I'm getting the kids breakfast ready. And then I have my money journal, and I'm always tracking my money through the day. I'm writing it down, and I have a Google spreadsheet. So like I have this really close relationship to money. And yes, the money comes in. Like, yes, there's more money than ever before. So it truly does work. But as for like, yeah, it's uncomfortable because it's like, well, what is holding me back? Because if I'm not the millionaire Charissa now, then I'm not tapped into that frequency. So there's some sort of like beliefs, because our beliefs is what creates our reality. There's a belief system that I hold that's creating that block or that resistance from me being in that reality. And that's uncomfortable because you have to face that and then do something about it. So it's like, there's this whole new level of like power and confidence coming through from me, the shapeshifter. But it's because I've had to like access the higher Charissa and be like, how does she speak? How does she hold herself? What does she wear? And that's uncomfortable. I mean, I was an introvert. I was scared to raise my hand in school. And even recently,
Really?
I left my teaching job recently. I was a kindergarten teacher. I've been a teacher for 15 years. And I mean, in staff meetings, my heart would be racing to put my hand up and speak in front of people. So it's not to say it wasn't social. I just didn't like speaking in front of a crowd. So like, there's pieces of me to be like, the layers peeled back in order to get to where I want to go and tap into that frequency. And it is stretchy and uncomfortable. And it's like trying to figure out what is it that's holding me back from accessing the wealth. And not to say I'm not wealthy right now, but I desire more, right? On top of more, as we do as humans. It's like a natural state, just like our universe, right? It's always evolving. So yeah.
That's incredible. I know for me, it's, I practice like holding more, right? Because it's more energy, it's more frequency. So it's like, if I've got, this much money coming through, like if I want more, like I practice expanding my energy field so that I actually can hold and attract more, So that's one of the things that I do, right? And then after like I normalize that, then that's the edge, right? And then we move into bigger and bigger, because similar to you, I have like massive, and I don't know if it's a Manny Jen kind of thing but huge goals, huge goals. And it was like, there's so many things that I have to learn, let go of, and shapeshift to become that vision. But every day I'm closing that gap, closing the gap until I am her, and then from that point, there's a new vision, right? It never ends. Exactly.
The continual evolution. I love that. I love that visualization. And I love that you just tapped into that holding more. We have to have the energetic capacity to get there. And that's actually something, the inner work that I'm doing right now as well. So I love that visualization of holding more and seeing your aura expand from the strategic, like practical, 3-dimensional viewpoint. I've implemented some things as well to be able to hold more this year. And that's, looking at the structure of, there's so much here, but there's like looking at the structure even of my company. So if I desire to be mainly in my leadership coaching business, I need to make sure that things are running smoothly with my company. So earlier in this year, I would sometimes be pulled over to help package up, especially if we had like massive orders going out the door. I would have a psychic session, and then I'd be over 3 hours helping package up with my team. So I had to make a move, right? So that I could hold the capacity, have that time and energy to have more women enter my programs, have more women booking. Well, my sessions always seem to book up, but where I'm going right now is feeling like I want to have more private clients and impact more with my programs and my trainings. So, well, energetically, am I even able to hold that? Am I able to even show up in the masterminds if I'm pulled over here? So I had to like hire some more, increase hours. I hired a VA for my coaching business. I now have Kartra. I have a system in place. So there's a lot of, and again, that's investing, right? That's letting go of the money, right? Letting it flow, the currency it needs to be let go of to come back your way. And that's another way to look at it as like, well, can I even hold it? Do I have that capacity to go to the next level? And what needs to change? I mean, I just messaged my house cleaner today that we had last year. And I'm like, okay, next level, Charissa has a house cleaner. Like, we need her back because I'm working 2 businesses and I have 3 kids. And I want to be in the wealth. That's the other thing too, right? Like if you want the wealth, be the wealth now, right? Be in that. And I'm not saying go out and spend all your money and max out your credit cards. I'm saying if you want those flowers, get the flowers if it makes you feel luxurious. Have that goddess bath, right? Like, and have an intentional bath that makes you feel wealthy. Hire the house cleaner, So those are some moves as well, strategically and like 3-dimensional kind of way.
Something I do with my daughter that I actually want to create a challenge around for my community and promote it and get it out there and encourage people to also do it. But I call it Wealth Sunday. And we started a few months ago, and we actually, like here in LA, there's a bunch of open houses and like Beverly Hills and all like these like really rich areas. So we go to them and that was an edge, right? I remember the first house we went to, it was like 6.5 million or something. And it was like, all that comes up. Right. And my daughter's 16. So we're moving that energy, right? We're normalizing it into the nervous system. And so we go in and we're imagining and we're talking like, this would be your room. This would be your room. Then we go to the next house. And so every Sunday or, plans dependent, we go out to like a luxurious lunch. Right? We walk in these neighborhoods. That was free. Like I literally parked the car. My daughter brought her like jogging, like she jogs in the morning. She brought her jogging stuff and we implemented, like she jogged in this beautiful, rich neighborhood. And now her subconscious has that memory. So really what we're doing in this challenge is normalizing high levels of wealth. Because at first it was like, who am I to be here? Why I don't belong in this house. They're going to know I can't pay for it. All that garbage that just comes up. Right. Yeah. So we keep going and I still do it. And like I said, I want to share with my community and encourage people to do this. It doesn't have to be open houses, but get yourself into somewhere that there's a gym we're going to try. I don't know if you know what Equinox is, but it's like this ritzy, like high level gym, right? So I called there and I'm going in for like a free day visit, right? So I get to put myself into this container, right? And be in this area and allow my nervous system to normalize, because that's the whole idea, is like to normalize wealth. And then we're one, right? When wealth is normal, it's not over here. I am wealth. It is me, Yeah.
I love that. And that's too, like, I love that it's things where it's like, you don't even have to spend the money to be the wealth. You can go into a ritzy hotel and sit in their lobby and do some goal setting there, so it doesn't always have to be where you are actually spending your money. And that also goes in line with, and now this is spending money, but this is why it's like being in those masterminds or making those investments in the coaches who are where you desire to go, because then you're being in the energy of wealth as well.
Yeah, I'm doing that this year. I've done a lot of courses and like worked with people and stuff, but I found a woman and I'm joining her mastermind, and it's a 4-figure investment every month. And it's a 6-month commitment. And I'm a hell yes on it. Yeah. I'm a hell yes. And I've already my business is going to make this easy peasy, right? Plus plenty to come. So it's like just in that decision. And I also teach with my clients, like you're deciding is 99% of like what you want happening. When a woman locks in her whole self behind a decision, magic happens.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Don't forget what you just said. You should do that as a quote today on your Instagram, because that gave me the chills. That was so good.
Okay.
Remember what you said?
Yeah, I
You're
say
like,
it
it
all the
was
time.
channeled.
I'll have to, I'd say it all the time. I just know. And I'm sure you can, I'm sure there's been those moments where just like you locked in, I'm doing this. And there wasn't any room for doubt. And it was like, we become unstoppable when a
Yes.
woman does that.
That's the vortex. That's the vortex I was talking about. No wobble, right? You're in the certainty frequency.
Yeah.
And so all that's going to come your way is what you desire. That's the only reason why we're not there yet, right? We're on our way. We know we're on our way, but that like ultimate dream. And then, like you said, it doesn't stop because then there's the next level. But the only thing holding us back is that little bit of wobble of the uncertainty. And then we're not in that frequency, that vibration that we can access that, right? So we just, is a decision, like you said, you make the decision, I'm going, there's no plan B, and then we're unstoppable and you're in the vortex.
Absolutely. Tell me what I know you're manifesting a swimming pool.
Yeah.
Like, tell me what you've got on your manifestation list. And then also, so I renamed my podcast, Reprogram Yourself, because essentially that's what I do and teach as a hypnotherapist. So I want you to share with us like your most potent tools. You mentioned it before about like $1 million Charissa, you know, like what does she do? How does she act? Like, just share with us what are your most kind of tried and true and potent tools for reprogramming yourself for the success and the wealth that you desire.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I'll answer the fun question because everyone's gonna be like, what does she want to manifest? So
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm just gonna say it. I'm like one of the best manifestors. I swear. Everything like that, because everything in your life is a big manifestation, right? So like everyone's a manifestor no matter what, but I'm a conscious manifestor. So, I mean, my husband, I was 30 years old and I was like, I'm never going to find a husband. Like, it was just like, I was getting so frustrated. I was dating, all the frogs and it just wasn't working out. And I was like, I saw him. I was like, he is going to have a scruffy, beard and he's going to be dark haired and he's going to have a pickup truck. Like, that's how specific I was. And I read the book and I'm totally going on a tangent right now, but it's just, everyone loves to hear the stories. I read the book, He's Just Not That Into You. And after that book, I was like, really like claim my confidence. I'm like, I am not chasing men anymore. Like, they're going to come after me. And if they're not, moving mountains for me. And I had just kind of went through the situation where I could have potentially like, met someone through a sister. And anyways, he was like, yeah, we can go on a date. But like, when my house is running into a house party in May, and I'm like, May's in 3 months, I'll be gone by then, so, but the old me would have been like, okay, yeah, I'll wait till May. And I ended up being like, what? Does this guy not know? Like, I'm going to be taken. And just that like confidence and the energy of, no, I don't chase, I attract, which we talk about in business all the time, right? With sales is we don't chase, we attract. And, my husband like met him within months of that. And he's scruffy, has the pickup truck. And within a few months, we're having a baby. Like, we moved in together and now we've been together for over 10 years and we have 3 kids and we're in the exact neighborhood that we said we wanted. Even I pictured my product base being like global and having employees while I'm doing leadership and on my laptop, not actually making the product. And it's all here. Like, it's here. It used to be home-based. I'm in a production space. I've left my teaching, so like everything has unfolded. So I'm like, I'm this manifestor. I don't know. So, it's great that I'm teaching it now. But so right now on my list, I have the swimming pool, which we had getting started in 2 weeks. Now, all the companies said they could not start until the fall. Right? Everyone's booked up, could not. And my husband went through like 15 different people, got different quotes. And we have someone who's like, they're going to start in 2 weeks, which is unheard of around here. So that's coming. And then I want my husband to leave his job. I want him to be like full-time with this company. So that's the goal. And I've stated it. I'm speaking it into existence.
Does he want that?
Yes. Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does. He works 12-hour shifts and he works every other weekend and he has to work sometimes on holidays. So it's like, listen, you can have the dreamiest life. I'm showing him by example. So he's part owner of the company. I put his name on the company. So he's the CEO, right? And it's just once he leaves the job, I think he'll feel like it's official. But we talk about it. We say we're so excited for the day, versus how much money do you need to make? I don't know if we can do it. We don't talk like that. And I teach him about all of these teachings, and we change our vocabulary too in the way we talk. So, instead of texting each other and being like, "Ooh, groceries was like 300 today," it's like, we don't do that anymore, right? It's just like, rather than feeding into the scarcity and having that, fear around money. So those are little like habits we've changed with the programming, right? Is even the way we speak when it comes to money. I'm trying to think about, I have a goal. I want to be having in my coaching business consistent $50,000 months. Obviously, I want to go beyond that, but that's my next goal, because I have more than those a month, but it's with my company. So I have this like specific goal that I'm telling the universe, this is what I want to do. And I write it in my money journal each day. And I say, I'm so thankful and grateful. And I'm so excited that I am making $50,000 a month. So this is a reprogramming part that is a tool that I do, is acting as if, right? And tricking our subconscious mind to believe that it's true, which then I'm going to show up like her, right? Because then my body is going to feel safe to receive it, feel like it's happening already. And then what action am I going to take?
Yeah. I've been training myself. Like if I ever see something that's like outside of what I'm actively consciously creating, I've been telling myself like, that's an illusion. Like that's not real. What's real is what I've locked in inside, that feeling, embodying that. Like that's been a little tricky move, like, right? Because we can see illusions all the time, like magic and, at a magic show, or even what I said in my hypnosis was like stars, right? I think stars like blow up or what have you. And then like, they're like 80 light years away or something, but we're looking up and we see a star, but the star is not actually there anymore. It's like the remnants. Mm-hmm. So what I tell myself is like, what you're seeing, if it's not what I want to see, as far as like whatever I'm manifesting, I have told myself, and I'm training myself, like, this is just the remnants, girl. You're just seeing the remnants of like the stars in the cosmos.
Oh my gosh.
What you want has already happened. It's already been created. And so anytime I see something, I'm like, oh, that's just the remnants of the star. Like, I'm good. And I just lock back in.
Oh, that's so good. I'm going to be like, that's so good. I'm like dying over here as you're saying. I'm like, oh my gosh, so good.
Yeah.
I mean, because that just brings us right into parallel realities, right? Multiple dimensions, right? So like, I mean, that does exist, what you're seeing in front of you, but it's a dimension that you're just in this moment, and you can choose to enter a different one. So, and that's like the stars and the stardust, right? It's just like different spaces in time, if time even exists.
Right?
Yeah.
So tell us what's on I saw Psychic Business School. From what I see, like you've got a lot of plates up in the air. Is that true?
Yeah. I mean, NFT over here. Yeah. So I was teaching about this. I just finished Claim Your Way to Your First 5K. It was a 2-day training. And the second one was all about strategy, and it was about multiple offers. Now I do touch on people who are like projectors, or who are just like, that's overwhelming, because we never want to get burnt out. And this is the energy as well behind receiving money, is the divine feminine, right? So, people are like, how do you do it? And I'll share that on my stories. Well, how do I do it? I mean, I make sure that I have time for pleasure. Today I'm going for a pedicure, right? After this call, I don't do, normally we have a podcast, but I don't do trainings or like coaching on Fridays. That's like my Freedom Fridays. And then now I'm making Mondays where I don't do trainings or calls, and that's going to be
Freedom Friday. I'm writing that down.
Yeah. And now Mondays, I'm like, you know what? I'm deciding Mondays are going to be when I record my podcasts, and this will be when I like sit down and creative, kind of like a creative Monday, right? Where it's like content ideas, doing some live videos, or maybe it's recording some free trainings as an opt-in for my email list. Like I want Mondays to be more open, because I love that. Like, everyone's like, oh, you're a manifesting generator, you can go. But I desire freedom. Like that is one of my core values in my business. If you go to my Instagram, it's freedom impacted. Yeah, you got it right.
You
on
see, it's like, yeah.
yeah. So, I mean, that's a part of the money coming in. It's like, we know that we execute, right? The divine masculine has to be there, the systems and the structures, but then we also need the divine feminine. And it's not if we're forcing our whole life and hustle and grind, that's the energy of us. So then there's that restrictive energy, which then our money is a mirror of what's going on internally. So then our money will be all restricted, or your relationships will be out of balance with your partners. So, with the multiple things going on, I still ensure that I have a support system, right? I have my VA, and I make sure, most days I'm done around 2 and I go in the hot tub before the kids get home from school. So I make sure I have that time for me. And nighttime, I'm not working. Nighttime, I'm, watching Gaia. I'm obsessed with Gaia, or I watch Netflix. Are you too?
Love Gaia.
Yeah. So, but yeah, like as for the structures of the multiple things going on, I mean, my coach, she's like the queen of that. So I really learned how to do it in a way that is not overwhelming. So I know I have this program, and then I'll have I have this like rhythm going on now, and, notepads and stuff, and Google Sheets is great to keep track of that. So yeah, so I have Psychic Power School happening starting May. I have a 3-day money magic moves coming up. And then after that, I'm going to be having a branding program that this is kind of a new avenue for me, because I mean, I make my own graphics. Like I love, branding my feed. I do my own social media. So I'm going to be doing a branding program called Hypnotic. And then following that, I'm going to be doing a content one that's called Gravitate. So I'm like, this is going to be so good. So I'm excited to teach about that for women in business.
That's awesome. Does that like come in? Like, is that very intuitive? I'll find like wake up in the morning, like with ideas, right? Because I go to sleep listening to certain, myself manifesting what I want. And I'll wake up like, you got to do this. You got to create that. You got like, it all comes in.
That's so, yeah. You know what it is I do get channeled messages a lot in the morning, lying in bed. And I think it's like what you said, the subconscious, and I think you're more like connected to your soul, because you're not being so much in the, like, what do I have to do in the mom mode and all of that. The shower for me, I get a lot of downloads. And driving, and a lot of people can relate to that. But for me, like when it comes to content or like new ideas for programs, it's throughout the day, and I get inspired by conversations. Maybe I'll go online and I'll see something and I'm like, actually, that's not true. And I'm like, and now I need to write about this, right? Or even right now when we were talking about shape shifting, I'm like, oh, this is an amazing post to talk about. So that's where usually it comes from, is just like my experiences throughout the day.
That's awesome. Tell me, before we end, we're going to seal it into the subconscious, your big vision for your business. Like not like just next level, but like,
oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, for the company, I mean,
and when you say company, is that Crushed Aftercare?
Yeah. When I'm saying like my product-based company, I mean, now that you're saying it, I'm like, I'm seeing a bigger facility, because it will just inevitably have to happen, right? We'll have so many orders. We're going to have to get more machines, and I'm seeing more staff, and me like I'm pretty hands-off already. It's very now just kind of runs on his own. My husband there full-time running the show. And then me over here, I mean, I'm seeing me on stages with the Victoria Washingtons, you know what I mean? Like with Tony and Layers. I would love to do psychic support for some of these high level leaders as well. Only have like, maybe 2 or 3 of the ones I just mentioned. I would love to be a part of their team. I just did a post about that. I was like, listen, I'm a psychic, and I'm telling you that this is the missing piece to the puzzle for these women. It's like, how you have your VA and you have like maybe your branding manager. It's like, and I also have my psychic, right? But I want to keep creating the programs, and I want more women coming in, more women to be impacted. And I just love seeing other women just go after their dreams, right? And to create the life that you can be, do, and have anything you want, to make that impact, to have the wealth as well, and to follow soul, right? Like that's all I've done. You know, when people say with your decisions or how did you get here? I'm like, I literally listen to the voice. Having this company, I didn't know how to make lip balms. I just had a voice in my head when I say make lip balms. So I was like, that's crazy. Okay, well, let's do it. Let's follow it. So yeah, that's where I see it going.
I love that so much. We're sealing that in, that image. Yes. Thank you so much. I didn't call it Freedom Friday, but I am going to call it that now because hell yes. I usually don't. I keep Friday very open, with the exception. And I just want to thank you like deeply for just sharing your time and your wisdom with me.
Well, thank you for having me. And I mean, I feel like this is freedom here. You and I just chatting.
It is. It's not hard work.
Yeah. Like we're like, what? This is my life. And like everyone else can have this too. Right. So thank you for having me. And this was such a pleasure to be on your podcast. And I'm excited to have you on my podcast, which is Intuition Revolution. So
yeah, that would be awesome. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much.
Have a good weekend, sweetheart.
You too. Bye.
Bye.